All right, welcome in. I'm the Kodiak, and today I'm here to talk about that Broncos versus Colts game and the lessons we learned over that 31-13 victory over the Indianapolis Colts. So leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're not already, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys thought about that game in the comment section down below. You can always follow me on Twitter if you like what I have to say on here at Kodiak Broncos. And real quick, for the second straight time, I've come on this channel and I've made a video talking about what I thought about the game and had my voice be absolutely shot because of a Bonitto pick six. I think that's when my vocal cords broke. They're not going to be very happy with me for the next 4 days or so, but hey, totally worth it. I was very happy to be a part of the home field advantage for the Broncos today. Now, what I will say, lesson number one, defense is completely forgiven for that atrocious first quarter. So even if they had blown that game, even if, every drive after the Jonathan Taylor dropped touchdown, or even before that, even if they had, just completely let up and Indianapolis was just marching down the field and they were going uncontested into the end zone, I would have forgiven them for that. I would have given them a pass because they gave our offense so many opportunities, even after the defense started terribly. And, Indianapolis, it just looked way, way, way too easy for them in the first quarter. I'm really happy with how they played today. I thought they played very cohesive. I thought they really turned it on in the second half. After the JT dropped touchdown play, they did absolutely nothing. And the one thing, the real concern I have about this team is not the run defense, because when you're playing against a back like Jonathan Taylor and his backfield teammate of Anthony Richardson, that's not the easiest running assignment in the world to stop. So I know that they're going to look at that on film, and I know that they're going to try to work those things out. But ultimately, I forgive them for literally everything negative that went on this game. Even when we were down, even when the score was like 13-7, I was like, all right, no matter what happens the rest of the game, I was literally telling people next to me at the stadium and the friends I went with, I was like, no matter what happens the rest of the game, defense is completely off the hook for how the game had, gone today. I still really do not like how many third and longs they're giving up, because ultimately you had so many opportunities to get them off the field early. John Franklin Myers has to bring down Jonathan Taylor on that first drive on that 3rd and 9 when they ran the HP draw. Just inexcusable, can't have it. But completely forgiven. I'm, more than happy with how they played today. And once again, completely off the hook for literally anything that went wrong today. Lesson number 2, Marvin Mims was an absolute home run of a draft pick in 2023. This is a completely different team without Marvin Mims the past year and a half. And even when he was struggling to contribute offensively, and he was getting like 3 routes a game and 1 target a game and only getting some design gadget plays, he was still contributing greatly to this team with his special teams performance. And he was an all-pro kick returner for a reason last year. And a lot of really big games the past 2 years that we've come out on top, a big reason why is because we have short fields because of Marvin Mims. And Marvin Mims against Buffalo last year was probably the reason we won that game. Or not the reason we won that game, but a huge X factor in winning that game. And I'd say he's a big X factor about why we won this game today, because twice in the second half, he set up the offense in prime field position to make something happen. And they converted on that Atkins touchdown. So that was really great to see. And I was still wary of, okay, the conversation on Broncos country about, does this guy suck? I know that you probably want more from a second-round pick who was drafted to be a wide receiver, but he's not a traditional wide receiver type. And you know what? I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, sure, were you hoping that he could win downfield and win in the intermediate and make dudes miss off the line when, you were watching him and you watch him run routes? Sure. But ultimately, I don't really know if that's what he was drafted for to begin with. But he was worth the trade up back in the 2023 NFL draft. We traded up with, I can't remember who, I think it was the Lions, for Marvin Mims. And ultimately, one of the biggest things about that is, and one of the biggest lessons we learned is, okay, I thought it was really interesting that receivers were kind of proposed or perceived to be a strength of the Broncos rather than, and Sean Payton still used the first draft pick that he had in 2023 on a player like Marvin Mims. And the question was, would you still take him over Tank Dell? Would you still take him over Josh Downs, which the Broncos ended up doing? And I would 100% say yes. I don't think there's any reason to doubt that going forward. Now, lesson number 3, the Colts blatantly handed us this game. Old Broncos teams basically would have lost this game because Indianapolis, they did not look like they were interested in winning, or they did not look like they were interested in winning during the second half. Once Jonathan Taylor dropped the ball, that team absolutely crumbled. They had 8 million holding penalties. Nothing was working. They only had a handful of nice chunk plays, that would go for like 15, 20 yards. Other than that, uh, yeah, it didn't look like they were really interested in winning because we threw 3 interceptions and still won by 18 points. I got to say that this is a difference in culture. This is where we were not too long ago. Or I'm not even sure about where we were. We were behind Indianapolis as far as, the rat race in the AFC, I would say, for the past 3 years, because the Colts, they've either made the playoffs, like in 2020, they made the playoffs as a 7th seed, or they've just missed it by 1 game for the past 4 or 5 years. And I don't remember the last time the Colts had a must-win game and they won the game. I think it was whenever they beat Houston on the road in the divisional round. Ever since then, the Colts have been huge, huge chokers. And the Broncos, they have a completely different mindset and mentality when it comes to this game. And a fragile Broncos team probably would have lost this game because Denver, they capitalized enough on the Pittman fumble. Great hit by PJ Locke, by the way. And the Colts being offside on the fourth quarter field goal to eventually throw in the dagger. And this is a difference in culture because I still think we got a tad bit lucky. I still think that we're not going to be able to play and sustain winning football for the rest of the year if this is how we're going to be winning games. But really, really good job by the team today. And like I said, if you want to see where we were not that long ago, check out the Indianapolis Colts because, you have a different head coach, or they don't cycle through head coaches. Like Steichen's been there for 2 years now. But Chris Ballard, he needs to go. Like, they have not really done anything throughout his tenure there. Decent roster builder and like good personnel manager, but bad team builder. And yeah, ultimately, I just think that this is a different Broncos team, and the Colts handed us this game. Like, they were not interested. They turned the ball over way too many times. They committed way too many penalties, especially stupid penalties in the back half of the game. And yeah, the old Broncos teams, people have said all year, would we have been able to beat Cleveland if we were an old Broncos team? I don't think so. Would we have been able to, squeak out some of these wins? I don't think so either. So, lesson number 4, Chris Strain looked good for the secondary today. Now, the pass defense over the course of the game was night and day versus 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, it looked like the Browns were doing anything that they wanted to. And this was the first full game action from Chris Strain, and I did not notice him once as a weakness or a liability. Actually, I did notice him. The reason I noticed him is because he had the A.D. Mitchell assignment, and he completely had that guy in jail. And if you had shown me blind tape from this game and been like, which one of these guys was a second-round pick and a highly thought of receiver in the draft and had a 10 relative athletic score, and which one was some random 5th-round pick who's undersized, I would have said that Chris Strain was the 2nd-round pick because he completely dominated the matchup. The only time I heard A.D. Mitchell's name was when he threw the pick 6 to Nik Bonitto, and he had a really nice breakup on Alec Pierce in the second quarter. I will say, from my end in the South Stands in section 135, row 38, I thought that was DPI. I thought we got lucky with one. But after watching the broadcast angle, it's kind of like, I don't really know. I think they made a good no call there. But let me know what you guys thought about that in the comment section down below. But, going forward, we do need the secondary to get healthier. We do need them to get better because it's been one of the biggest strengths of our team all year. And if we don't have them going into the most crucial part of the year and the most crucial stretch where, we're clinching the playoffs and we could eventually, clinch with any of our next 3 games that we have, either at the Chargers, at the Bengals, or against the Chiefs at home, we're going to need Patrick Surtain, definitely. And Riley Moss would definitely be nice to have. But the loss of Riley Moss was not that noticeable. Granted, it's going to be a little less noticeable when you're playing against Anthony Richardson. And I've seen all the tweets about him having a 50% completion percentage and people dunking on him and people memeing. But he's still a respectable NFL quarterback. He's still able to make plays, and the defense still has to respect his legs. And I thought they did a really nice job minimizing that aspect of his game as well. So I know this team has another level in them because defensively, we need to work out 3rd and longs and passes over the middle to slots and the tight ends. Offensively, Not a great game today, but scored enough to make it respectable. And even if we lost this game, this is weird to say, I think I would have not been mad at Bo Nix at all because he played like early season Bo Nix again, which, we were very unaccustomed to seeing. We've kind of been spoiled with the level of quarterback play we've gotten over the past 2 months, but the offensive execution just wasn't there today. I know that this pass game can be really good because we've seen it a lot this year be really, really good. The run game is absolutely toast. We've had, I think, 2 good rushing performances overall this year against the Saints and against, I don't even know. I'm probably just blanking and forgetting. Either way, the only question and the thing that is going to separate this team from a contender to a first round exit is, do we figure out a way to compensate for our shortcomings going into January? Do we figure out a way to, get some sort of run game and find an offensive balance? Do we find a way to work out those third and longs and, eventually cover guys in the middle of the field? Because if we can figure that out, great. But we could really, really make some noise this year in January if we can, get all that going. And, I trust this offseason that Sean Payton and George Payton, which is really weird for me to say based on what I've said about him, to say that I have trust in George Payton, but I have trust in George Payton to, do the right moves for the Broncos. But the question is, this team is not going to win the Super Bowl. Okay, I think everybody who's realistic can acknowledge that. But we are not that far away. And in the NFL, where the talent gap is not that big between one team from another, like even the best team and the worst team, like the talent gap is not that big. Because professional sports, there's just a lot of natural variance. And with one full offseason again, where you give Sean Payton and George Payton a chance to work their magic, I'm really happy to see what they can do with this team. So, yeah, that does it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.